Listen to me. I want you to hear the sound of that clock on the wall. Can you hear it? Most people our age look at that calendar and see a countdown clock. They hit 60 and think the show is over. They think it's time to pack up the circus tent, sit in the armchair, and wait for the reaper to knock on the door. They think they are waiting for the end, but the truth is they are dying before they are actually dead. I am 92 years old. If you are 60 or 65 right now, I have lived an entire second lifetime since I was your age, 32 years. That is the same amount of time between a newborn baby and a 30-year-old man. It is an entire life. And yet, you're going to sit there and tell me it's too late? You're going to tell me you're too old to start a business, too old to write that book, too old to find a love that actually fits? That is a lie, and deep down, you know it. You aren't old, you're just scared, and if you waste the last third of your life staring at a wall, that is a sin. I've lived long enough to see the illusions we build for ourselves crumble. I call the first one the wrong bus lie. I knew a man named Jerry. Jerry was a lawyer for 30 years. He was a miserable son of a gun who drank too much because he hated every minute of his career. But he stayed. Why? Because he'd say, I've put 30 years into this. I can't just walk away now. I'll throw it all away. Let me ask you, if you get on the wrong bus and ride it for 500 miles in the wrong direction, does it make sense to stay on just because you paid for the ticket? No, you get off. You walk back if you have to. At least you are finally walking toward something real. Jerry finally got off the bus at 55. He quit the law and started making furniture. His wife thought he was crazy. His friends laughed at him for throwing away a pension. Jerry didn't care. He spent the next 30 years, until he was 85, smelling like sawdust and smiling. He lived more in those 30 years of sawdust than he did in the first 50 years of suits and ties. Do not honor a mistake just because you spent a long time making it. We cling to our egos because we like being the expert. We like being the person with the answers. But if you start something new today, if you pick up a guitar or try to learn how the world works now, you become a beginner. You become a nobody. It burns your gut to think you might have to take orders from a 25-year-old kid. But let me tell you something I've learned at 92. There is no dignity in pretending to be happy. There is no dignity in being the expert of a life you hate. Kill your pride. Be the fool. Be the beginner. You see, our brains aren't meant to stop. We've been told that aging is a slow slide into the dark, but science is finally catching up to what some of us always knew. They call it cognitive reserve. It's the brain's ability to redirect its resources when things start to wear down. Think of your brain as having two parts, the hardware and the software. Physical activity, especially the kind that gets your heart thumping, preserves the hardware, the actual mass of the brain. But cognitive activity, that is the software. It strengthens the circuits. It makes them plastic. It makes them move. I think of a woman I heard about named Vera Andrews. Vera is 80 years old now. She just walked across the stage to get her college degree. Her journey started 46 years ago, back in 1978. But life happened. Her mother got sick and Vera dropped out. Then in 1987, her daughter Renee was in a terrible car accident. Vera never left her side. She put her own dreams in a box and tucked them under the bed. She thought it was the end for her dreams, but something kept pushing. At 78, she went back. At 80, she graduated. She told people, everything is telling you to give up. Just persevere. She realized that a purpose, like a degree or a nonprofit, is a gift you give yourself, and it's never too late to open it. You might think your brain is a fixed thing, but it's more like a muscle that craves a mission. You need a dragon to fight, whether it's building a garden, writing a memoir, or starting a small consulting firm based on the 30 years of expertise you actually do have. You need a reason to get out of bed that is bigger than breakfast. Retirement, as we've designed it, is often a death trap. In nature, nothing retires. An animal works until it dies. I've seen strong men hit 65, get the gold watch, move to Florida, sit in a recliner, and within 5 years they were gone. They didn't die of a heart attack. They died of rot. When a machine sits idle, it rusts. When a brain sits idle, it rots. You must choose to burn, not to rot. And don't tell me you don't have the energy. At 20, we had energy, but we were idiots. We ran around like chickens with our heads cut off, breaking things and making noise. But now you have efficiency. A young man runs fast because he doesn't know where he is going. An old man walks slow because he knows the shortcut. You know how to spot a liar. You know how to manage your temper. You know how the world really works. That isn't a handicap. It is your leverage. I remember reading about a study on dancing. They compared folks who did regular sports to those who learned complex dance choreographies. The ones who just did the repetitive exercises, the hardware stuff, they were okay. But the dancers, the ones who had to constantly learn new steps, coordinate their arms and legs to a rhythm, and navigate the space, their brains actually grew. They saw increases in the hippocampus and the precentral gyrus, areas essential for memory and movement. It's because they were combining physical strain with sensory enrichment. They weren't just moving, they were learning, they were failing and trying again. The same goes for learning a language. We've been told the earlier the better, and sure, a 3-year-old picks it up fast, but research shows that even if you start in your 60s or 70s, acquiring a new language improves your concentration and can actually delay the onset of dementia. It's the process, the cognitively challenging and enriching struggle that protects you. It's not about being fluent, it's about the effort. It's about not letting the software of your mind go obsolete. I want to share one more story with you. It's about a woman named Dr. Edith Eger. She's a friend in spirit to all of us. She survived Auschwitz. Think about that. She was 16, a gymnast and a dancer, when she was sent to a death camp. She saw her mother